I need you to stop reheating your meal right now. 3 patients, same practice, all seen within the past 4 months, all over the age of 60. All came in with complaints they had been dismissing for months: fatigue after meals, a dull heaviness in the upper abdomen, mild digestive discomfort that came and went without explanation. All 3 received the same diagnosis: pancreatic cancer, stage 3. When I reviewed their histories, their diets, their weekly habits, I found something that stopped me completely. All 3 had been doing the exact same thing in their kitchens, not something dangerous, something completely ordinary, something practical. Something every health-conscious person over 60 does multiple times every week without a single hesitation. They were reheating specific foods, the same 5 foods, over and over, for years. I'm going to give you something you can act on tonight, right now, before the full list begins, because I believe you deserve something useful in the first minute of this video, not at the end of it. If you cooked leafy greens in the past 48 hours, spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and they are sitting in a container in your refrigerator right now, do not microwave them tomorrow morning. Eat them cold, put them in a bowl, add whatever you like, and eat them cold. That single change removes from your next meal a class of compound the World Health Organization has officially linked to cancer risk. No other information required, no other change needed, just that. I am going to tell you exactly why that works, and give you 4 more changes, just as simple, across the next several minutes. But I want you to have that one thing now. Because the organ we are trying to protect today is one that will give you no warning at all until it is almost always too late. Your pancreas sits tucked behind your stomach, deep in the center of your abdomen. You cannot see it, you cannot feel it under normal circumstances. And unlike almost every other organ in your body, it gives you no warning when it is under attack. It does not ache when it is being damaged. It does not swell in a way you can detect. It sends you no signal at all, while damage accumulates quietly, invisibly, across months and years of the wrong daily habits. By the time pancreatic cancer produces symptoms obvious enough to bring someone into a clinic, the disease has already spread beyond meaningful intervention in the overwhelming majority of cases. The 5-year survival rate is under 12%. 12. That number has barely shifted across 30 years of research and billions of dollars in pharmaceutical development. Not for lack of effort, for one reason: timing. This cancer grows in complete silence inside an organ that never complains. And by the time it announces itself, the window has almost always already closed. That is why everything on this list is as urgent as it is. The habits that create the conditions for this disease are not exotic. They happen in ordinary kitchens at ordinary mealtimes by people who are actively trying to take care of themselves. At least 3 of the 5 foods I am about to walk you through are almost certainly in your refrigerator right now. Here is a brief preview so you know exactly what is coming. Food number 1 is going to shock you. It is something every physician and nutritionist on earth has been recommending for 20 years, cited in every longevity study ever published, and the second you reheat it, it triggers a chemical reaction the World Health Organization has officially linked to cancer. Food number 2 is what most people immediately think of with dangerous reheating, and they are right, but they have never been told the half of it. Food number 3 is the most deceptive food in existence. No smell, no taste change, no visual cue. The danger inside it is completely undetectable by any sense you have. Food number 4 involves a specific hidden flaw in one of the most common kitchen appliances in the world. A flaw that creates invisible danger zones inside food that look completely safe from the outside. And food number 5, pay close attention when we get here, launches not 1 but 2 completely independent chemical attacks on your pancreas simultaneously through 2 entirely separate biological pathways from the same bowl of leftovers. 1 bowl, 2 attacks. And if you are reheating it in the most common way, you are adding a 3rd layer on top of both of them. Stay with me through food 5. Every hazard from this entire video concentrated into 1 dish from 1 tray of leftovers. Let us start. The first food on this list is something the entire health and wellness industry has been promoting as a cornerstone of healthy aging for 2 decades. Every longevity researcher recommends it. I have personally recommended it to hundreds of my own patients over 22 years of practice. It is widely considered one of the safest, most nutrient-dense choices anyone can make for their health. The food is spinach, and every leafy green cooked and stored the same way. Kale, Swiss chard, arugula, beet greens. The food itself is not the problem. Fresh spinach is genuinely excellent for your health. The problem is what happens when you cook it, store it overnight, and apply heat a second time. A chemical transformation that is invisible and odorless happens, but it's preventable once you understand it. Picture a Sunday evening. You saute a beautiful pan of spinach with garlic and olive oil. You feel genuinely good about it. You put the leftovers in a container in the refrigerator. Monday at lunch, you microwave it. It looks and tastes identical. But that second round of heat completes a chemical reaction the World Health Organization has linked to cancer risk. All leafy greens contain naturally occurring compounds called nitrates. In fresh greens, or in greens eaten immediately after cooking, those nitrates are completely harmless. Your body processes them without concern. That is not the issue. The issue begins the moment those cooked greens start to cool. Bacteria naturally present in any cooked plant material begin converting those harmless nitrates into a different compound called nitrites. That conversion starts the moment cooking ends. By the time your container of leftover spinach has been in the refrigerator overnight, a significant portion of that conversion has already occurred. The longer it sits, the further it progresses. Now you apply heat a second time. That heat causes the nitrites to react with amino acids in the food and form a class of compounds called nitrosamines. Now let me tell you about a patient I described as one of the most health-conscious people I've treated in 22 years of practice. Dorothy was 68, a retired school teacher. She exercised regularly, maintained a healthy weight, limited red meat, and watched her sodium. She was not casual about her health, she was meticulous about it. And she ate spinach often, large batches on Sundays, portions reheated throughout the week. She considered it a pillar of her routine, but she is exactly who this chemical targets. Not someone who is reckless, someone doing everything right by every conventional measure, and unaware that one ordinary habit is generating inside her microwave a compound that the International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies as a probable human carcinogen. Genotoxic. That word means nitrosamines penetrate directly into the nucleus of cells and damage DNA from within. Not from outside the cell, from inside the genetic blueprint used to regulate growth and repair. Think of DNA as a master instruction set. Nitrosamines function like someone quietly changing specifications and erasing measurements. Your repair systems catch most errors, but not all. Over years of repeated exposure, these accumulated errors produce cells that no longer follow the correct program. Your pancreas bears the repeated chemical burden of these compounds, managing enormous metabolic demands every single day. The combination of that chemical load and that chronic metabolic demand creates conditions in pancreatic tissue the repair systems were never designed to sustain indefinitely. I will tell you what we found in Dorothy's workup and what happened after we changed her habits at the very end of this video. The fix: eat cooked greens cold. Cold cooked spinach in a grain bowl, tossed into a salad, wrapped in a tortilla, every nutrient intact. Zero nitrosamine formation, because there is no second heat event. If you must reheat, once only. Each additional heating cycle multiplies nitrosamine formation exponentially, not a metaphor, chemistry. Think about those crispy leftover fries from last night. The fried chicken wrapped in foil because throwing it away felt wasteful. The spring roll in the corner of your refrigerator. What do you do the next day? You microwave it, or you heat fresh oil in a pan and crisp it up again. Something done in every kitchen, every day, worldwide. At that moment, you trigger a chemical process your pancreas has almost no defense against. Most people's instinct is to switch oils, but that instinct will not protect you. The problem is not the oil you choose, but high heat applied a second time. Here is what that means at the molecular level. Oils like sunflower, corn, or olive oil are chemically unstable under heat. When reheated, they begin breaking down at the molecular level. When subjected to high heat a second time, that breakdown accelerates dramatically into what chemists call deep oxidative degradation. That process generates a class of toxic compounds called aldehydes, specifically 4-hydroxynonene and malondialdehyde. When consumed, these release free radicals into the body. Free radicals behave like sparks from an uncontrolled fire, each one moving in a random direction. Each one capable of landing on a healthy cell and corrupting the DNA governing when that cell grows, divides, and stops. When those instructions are corrupted across enough cells, across enough separate exposure events, across enough years, the probability of a cell escaping normal growth control increases in a measurable, documented way. Your pancreas is one of the most metabolically active organs in the body, and one of the most directly exposed to compounds arriving from the digestive system. Every time you eat food containing aldehyde compounds from reheated oil, your immune system launches an inflammatory response. Correct response: the body doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is that when you are eating reheated fried food multiple times a week, your body never gets to turn that response off. A pancreas operating in chronic, unbroken inflammation is trying to do extraordinarily precise chemical work inside a burning building. Every enzyme it produces, every insulin signal it sends, every cell it attempts to protect, all of it happening in an environment it was never built to sustain long term. Eventually, the capacity to keep up degrades. Without pain to alert you, a diagnosis often comes late. My patient Robert, 71, was a retired contractor, active, healthy, and physically robust. He reheated fried chicken and potato wedges several times a week, often in a pan with fresh oil because he preferred the texture that way. For decades, he'd done it. 6 months of abdominal discomfort he assumed was his gallbladder. It wasn't. The fix: never reheat fried food in oil. Not fresh oil, not the same oil. Use a dry oven at 180 degrees Celsius or an air fryer. Dry heat restores texture without generating a single additional aldehyde compound. Frying oil is single use. Fry today, dispose today. It is a comparison between one bottle of oil and the conditions that silently precede pancreatic cancer. Millions make this choice every week, simply because they've never been told what it is. Think back across the past 7 days of meals. Not in detail, just a quick scan. How many of those meals involve food that was originally cooked on a different day? Not takeout. Food you made at home and then reheated. Count them honestly and put that number in the comments right now. Not because the number is alarming in itself, but because most people have never once counted it. And that number is the most accurate picture of your real daily exposure that this video can give you. Food number 3, rice. The third food on this list is the most innocent looking food in existence. No strong flavor, no strong smell, no change in texture. The danger inside it cannot be detected by sight, taste, smell, or any other sense you have. Nothing about it signals that anything is wrong. That is what makes it the most quietly dangerous item on this entire list. Think about the pot of rice you made several days ago. Large batch, more efficient that way. You have been reheating portions every day since, and hidden inside that rice, from the exact moment it finished cooking and began to cool, a biological process has been unfolding that most people have never once been warned about. There is a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. It is present in raw rice from any supermarket anywhere in the world. Cooking kills the active bacteria, but it does not kill the spores. A spore is a hardened biological survival structure that certain bacteria produce specifically to withstand conditions that would otherwise destroy them. Boiling water cannot reach them. Normal cooking temperatures cannot touch them. They sit dormant inside your perfectly cooked rice, completely invisible, completely undetectable, waiting for one thing: the temperature of your kitchen counter as the rice cools. The moment rice enters the 10 to 55 degree range, spores activate. Bacteria multiply rapidly in the warm moisture, producing toxins. You're probably picturing dramatic food poisoning right now, a memorable, loud episode. But that's the wrong picture. That's why this risk stays invisible for years. The danger doesn't look like food poisoning. It doesn't feel like it. It's just a low-grade discomfort after lunch. It feels like a Tuesday. A persistent unease that blends into the background noise of getting older. That is the face of this risk. Quiet, cumulative, and invisible. One of the toxins Bacillus cereus produces is heat stable, not heat resistant, heat stable. The thermal energy of a microwave or stovetop does not alter its structure or biological activity in any meaningful way. When you reheat that rice, you kill the live bacteria. The manufacturing operation shuts down. But the toxins produced while the rice was cooling, your microwave does not touch those. They survive fully intact. Repeated exposure creates chronic low-grade inflammation throughout the gastrointestinal tract. Researchers have now consistently documented what is called the gut-pancreas axis. The intestines and pancreas share blood supply and signaling pathways so tightly integrated that the inflammatory state of one organ communicates almost immediately to the other. A chronically inflamed gut does not contain that inflammation within its own walls. It broadcasts the signal through shared biological infrastructure directly into pancreatic tissue, every time, without exception. Whether or not any obvious illness is occurring on the surface, I had a patient named Margaret, 63 years old, a retired nurse who understood food safety better than most of my patients by a considerable margin. She cooked large batches of rice twice a week and reheated portions over 3, 4, sometimes 5 days, always until piping hot. She was confident in her practices because she was a trained healthcare professional who had always taken hygiene seriously. She had been experiencing a general digestive unease for 8 months. Not dramatic, nothing resembling clinical food poisoning. Just a persistent low-grade discomfort after meals she had attributed to the normal changes of aging. A retired nurse, someone who knew real illness, had been dismissing this for 8 months. It didn't look like illness, it looked like any other day. How many days has the rice in your fridge been sitting there? Tell us in the comments right now. That number reveals how much of this quiet risk you're unknowingly accepting. The fix: cool cooked rice within 1 hour. Spread it wide and shallow so heat dissipates quickly across a large surface area. Refrigerate within that hour and eat within 24 hours. When reheating, ensure it's steaming hot throughout. Finish it in that meal and never refrigerate again. These simple rules are critical for your safety. Now, let's return to Dorothy. She was reheating rice, 3 and 4-day-old rice, multiple times per week. When I ran her workup, here is what we found. I'll finish her story at the end, but right now I need to get to food number 4. This is the habit I see most consistently in patients in their 60s and 70s who are trying to do everything right. The danger lives in the moment they believe they're being careful. If you know someone who prepares a week's worth of chicken on Sunday and reheats portions daily, please share this video. I'll tell you what's actually happening inside that container every time they open the microwave. You could be doing them a meaningful service today. Picture roasted chicken from last night, properly cooked and stored in the fridge. At lunch, you microwave it for 2 minutes and press the outside to check the temperature. It feels hot, so you eat. Millions do this, thinking it's safe meal prep. But the exterior check is precisely where the danger lives. Here's what most people don't know about how microwaves generate heat. Microwaves don't heat from the outside in like a conventional oven. They excite water molecules inside the food, generating heat from within. Always ensure food is heated evenly. I'm Dr. James, stay safe. The problem is that different sections of chicken have different water content, densities, and distributions of fat and bone. Some sections reach temperatures that kill bacteria, others remain at temperatures where bacteria multiply. These zones are called cold spots. Imagine pressing your hand on an 80°C table. You feel that intense heat on your palm. But imagine your fingertip, centimeters away, is only at 35 degrees. You have no way of knowing. No signal reaches you. You feel heat, and you assume heat everywhere. This is exactly what happens in a microwave. The surface temperature hides a dangerous interior. The surface tells one story, the interior another, and the interior is what matters. You cannot see cold spots. You cannot detect them by touching the outside. While the surface feels hot, the center can remain at a temperature that actually encourages bacterial growth. Salmonella and Campylobacter are present in raw poultry at high rates globally. Initial cooking kills them, but recontamination from unsanitized surfaces or shared utensils happens easily. Cold spots in microwave reheated chicken aren't death zones for bacteria. They are moist, protein-rich incubators. Beyond bacteria, there is a second danger from reheated chicken that directly impacts your pancreas. Chicken skin and dark meat contain polyunsaturated fats that undergo oxidation when reheated. While initially manageable, this process can become a significant health concern. When reheated, especially at the irregular, high-spiking temperatures a microwave generates, those fats are oxidized a second time. That second oxidation produces advanced lipid oxidation end products, compounds directly toxic to cells. They are studied for their role in promoting oxidative stress and DNA damage in the organs most exposed to them. Your pancreas is exposed to everything arriving through the blood supply that feeds it. Oxidized fat compounds absorbed through the intestinal wall enter the bloodstream and are delivered to pancreatic tissue. Once there, they trigger inflammation and activate pathways associated with cancer development, and create oxidative stress that damages the DNA inside pancreatic cells. Whether or not you experience a single noticeable episode of food poisoning, the chronic, low-dose accumulation from reheated chicken several times a week, that is the pattern that matters. Not one dramatic event, the quiet, invisible, sustained pattern. I had a colleague, a physician, 57 years old. He exercised consistently, ate carefully, and appeared to be in excellent health. He brought his lunch to work every day, batch-cooked chicken portioned into containers. He was meticulous about it. He considered it one of his better health decisions. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer at 58. I cannot say reheated chicken caused it. Cancer is an intersection of many factors. But knowing what I know now about oxidized fats, I think about those containers differently. He thought he was doing everything right. I didn't warn him because I didn't yet know. The fix: use a conventional oven at 175 degrees Celsius, covered tightly with foil for 15 to 20 minutes. Moist trapped heat circulates uniformly. Cold spots cannot form. If you must use a microwave, cut the chicken into uniform pieces, use medium power, and rearrange completely halfway. But the simplest answer is, eat it cold. Shred it into a salad or fold it into a wrap. Cold-cooked chicken carries none of these risks: zero cold spots, zero fat oxidation, and zero inflammatory pressure. One habit change, this entire category of risk eliminated. One food left. Food number 5 surprised me most. I had been reheating this food myself regularly, confidently. And what made it genuinely alarming was not one chemical mechanism. It was 2 completely independent mechanisms attacking the pancreas simultaneously. 2 separate biological pathways from the same bowl at the exact same time. Reheating them in a hot pan with oil adds a dangerous third layer on top of both mechanisms. Every hazard from this entire video concentrated into one dish from one tray of leftovers. I am calling it the double attack. Stay with me as we dive into this double attack. Think about the roasted potatoes from last Sunday, golden crispy outside, fluffy inside. Monday evening, you reheat them in a pan with oil to crisp them up and eat them. You feel resourceful, getting real value from Sunday's cooking. Right now, two independent chemical processes are attacking your pancreas from separate directions at the same moment. The first attack comes from a compound called acrylamide. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen based on consistent findings across multiple experimental models. It forms when starchy foods are exposed to dry high heat above 120 degrees Celsius through reactions between sugars and asparagine. This is known as the Maillard reaction. And here is what I need you to hear clearly. The golden color you have been cooking toward on a roasted potato, that visual signal of perfect doneness that every recipe has trained you to achieve, is produced by that exact same reaction. The color and the carcinogen are the same event, one reaction, two simultaneous products. You cannot achieve the golden finish without generating the compound. They are inseparable. Remember what I told you about spinach? That the problem was not the food itself, but what a second application of heat does to the chemistry inside. Hold that idea for potatoes. The second heat application doesn't trigger just one chemical change. It triggers two, simultaneously, through independent mechanisms. And the first one specifically gets worse the second time, not the same, worse. When a potato is cooked, then refrigerated, its surface dries as moisture migrates inward. Sugars and amino acids concentrate at that now dry outer surface. When high heat is applied again, precursors for acrylamide are more concentrated, more accessible, and more reactive at that surface than during original cooking. The acrylamide in a reheated potato, especially if refried, can be meaningfully higher than in the same potato cooked freshly. Your leftovers may carry more carcinogens. Not the same amount, more. That is the first attack, direct carcinogenic pressure on pancreatic cells in greater concentration the second time the food is prepared than the first. The second attack operates through a completely different mechanism, and it is the one that has been quietly exhausting the pancreas of healthy older adults for years without a single obvious pancreatic failure. Symptom. When potatoes are cooked and then cooled completely in the refrigerator, a portion of the regular digestible starch converts into something called resistant starch. This is genuinely beneficial. Resistant starch moderates blood sugar by dramatically slowing glucose absorption, feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and substantially reduces the insulin demand placed on the pancreas compared to an identical portion of hot potato. A cold-cooked potato is metabolically a fundamentally different food than a hot one, confirmed in clinical studies measuring actual blood glucose response in human subjects. Cold potato, slow, flat glucose curve. Hot potato, spike. The moment that cold potato is reheated at high heat, the resistant starch converts back into regular starch through retrogradation reversal. 90 seconds in a microwave destroys the metabolic benefits that occurred slowly across hours of refrigeration. There is no way to reheat the potato while preserving that protection. Once heat is applied, those benefits are gone. What was gentle on your blood sugar becomes a spike, forcing your pancreas into a sudden urgent insulin release. Specifically the beta cells. Over years, these repeated emergency production events lead to progressive exhaustion. Under that kind of sustained urgency, beta cells become less responsive and their function degrades over time. This exhaustion is a documented biochemical pathway toward the chronic metabolic conditions we all want to avoid. Protecting your pancreatic health starts with understanding how these simple dietary choices impact your long-term wellness. Two attacks, simultaneously, from a single bowl. Refrying potatoes creates maximum acrylamide and oxidizing aldehydes from the oil. This triggers a massive blood sugar spike and intense demand on your beta cells. It is the worst-case serving of leftovers, happening in ordinary homes every week. How many times did you reheat potatoes this week? Comment the number below. The fix: eat them cold. Potato salad with olive oil preserves all that healthy resistant starch. If you must warm them, use the lowest heat possible, and never ever refry. That is 5 foods covered. Stay healthy and follow for more medical insights. And pay especially close attention to this one. Any persistent pain in the upper or mid-back between the shoulder blades that has no clear injury explanation, does not respond to rest or stretching, and has been present for more than a few weeks. None of these confirm anything on their own. Nothing I say through a screen replaces a conversation with your own physician. If you are experiencing 2 or more of these symptoms regularly, bring this to your doctor by name at your next appointment. Tell them you want to discuss whether your habits and symptoms warrant a workup. Ask about a comprehensive metabolic panel, pancreatic enzyme levels, and whether an abdominal ultrasound might be appropriate. When something consistently feels off, the right response is not to wait and see whether it gets worse. I want to finish Dorothy's story. When we ran her full workup imaging labs, the complete picture, we found early chronic pancreatic inflammation. Not cancer, not yet, but the biochemical environment in which that process accelerates. Her enzyme levels were elevated. Her inflammatory markers were elevated. Her dietary history showed 2 of the 5 foods on today's list, both of them multiple times per week for years. We changed the habits: cold greens, properly handled rice, the full list applied consistently. At her 3-month follow-up, her enzyme levels had normalized. Her inflammatory markers had come down meaningfully. She sat across from me and said, "I feel sharper, lighter after meals instead of heavy, like something that was running quietly in the background just stopped." Here is the practical knowledge that lets you make one different choice tonight when you open that refrigerator door. Not fear. Fear paralyzes. Leafy greens, eat them cold after cooking, or cook only what you are eating in that meal. If you must reheat, once only. Oils and fried food, dry heat only. Oven or air fryer, never oil. Frying oil is single use. Fry today, dispose today. Rice, cool within 1 hour, refrigerate and eat within 24 hours. Reheat once to fully steaming throughout, finish it completely. Chicken, oven with foil at 175 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. Or eat it cold. This eliminates every risk entirely. Potatoes, cold whenever possible. Lowest possible heat if warming is absolutely necessary. Never refried. Dorothy came back for a check-in last spring, not because anything was wrong, because her labs were normal and she wanted me to see the fix. She brought a photo of herself sitting at a picnic table with her grandchildren and a bowl of potato salad. She said, "I thought you should see what the fix actually looks like." That is what I want for you, not a diagnosis. That photograph, that moment, start there. Tonight, I am Dr. James. If this gave you something real today, share it right now with one person who needs to hear it, your spouse, a child, or a close friend. That act may be the most meaningful health decision you make today. Take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next video.